Hi, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Seth, and this is The Forever Young Show. The most powerful force in this world is a woman who knows who she is, why she is here, and what she wants to accomplish.
And that's where self-care comes in. As a woman, it is my opportunity and my responsibility to take care of me.
Self-care for your mind.
Self-care for your body.
Self-care for your money.
Our mission is to serve women as they fulfill their irreplaceable roles in families, society, business, the fabric of humanity.
So let's get this show on the road. Welcome to another episode of The Forever Young Show. Stephanie and Seth here.
And Seth's not going to make me sing it again. That's awesome.
No, we're not singing. You already heard it in the intro, The Forever Young Show. So
I guess not singing.
Well, it's kind of a sing. It was almost a jingle. Anyway, we're super excited to be here. We are looking at episode 9, and
Woo woo.
woo woo. I don't know that I've ever made that sound like that. Have I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically after I've done it.
So we've had some incredible episodes, and we've talked a lot about self-care in the mind. I feel, babe, a lot of talk about trauma and infant loss and spouse loss, physical ailments, etc. And great discussions. And as a precursor to some of the episodes coming down the road, thanks to your scheduling and networking, we have some incredible people coming on the show to talk about self-care for the body in so many different aspects. We have CEOs coming on, formulators, healthcare practitioners.
And a mom that just needed some help.
So let's get in and talk about self-care for the body. We wanted to get really personal today and kind of give you a sneak peek into some of the things that we're doing. And we know that many of you are doing way more than this. That's awesome. And some of you are going to be thinking that, wow, you're doing way more than we are. And that's okay. It's really just about progress. And I think, Steph, you've got a story about that a little later. I do as well. It's not so much where you are right now. It's what direction you're facing and taking and making some movement. So that's what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about movement. One of the most important things you could do for your body to take care of it is to move.
My favorite form of movement, I should say one of my favorite forms of movement, is yoga. Seth asked me just yesterday, so when did you start doing yoga? I honestly can't remember when or where I necessarily started. I think it was in my early 20s at some point. That's like the earliest recollection that I have of diving into yoga. I started doing hot yoga when I became a single mom. A dear friend of mine who we actually introduced on the podcast, Days for Girls, Tiffany Larson.
Great episode, by the way.
Yes. So she invited me to do some hot yoga. And anyone that does know me in my personal life knows that I have a really hard time in the heat. And so I put a lot of trust in her. And essentially everything that she said, at first, for the first 10 minutes, you're going to hate it. You're going to wish you were in there. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And I get there, and the first 10 minutes, I was like, why did I come? It was really hard. But then after that, I was like, oh my goodness, I love hot yoga. And I actually, I've become so, I don't want to say addicted to it because I'm not addicted, but I do long for it. I feel really good physically, emotionally, spiritually after I do that. So yoga it dates back anciently and
3,000 years, just so you know. I did the research.
And it's really good for the mind, the body. Some practices are more spiritually in tune than others, just depending on what type of yoga you practice and also who your instructor is in the setting. Yeah, I've had a lot of really great experiences with yoga.
I want to hear more about that. I have to make this interjection about yoga. And I hear this frequently. I typically hear it from friends who have maybe a deep Christian faith. And some of them remark that they get feedback from their friends or family or other, people with faith because they're concerned about yoga. Like they
Mm.
feel like yoga is out there. I'm not going to say pagan because I haven't heard them use the word pagan to describe it, but that's the sense
Mm.
that they have felt from other people of the Christian faith and maybe other faiths as well. But that's what I've heard, that yoga is somehow potentially a danger or outside of, that safe zone of faith. What do you think about that?
I can definitely see where they're coming from. There have been some situations that I've been in a yoga class and I'm like, that was okay, but I don't know that that was for me. And I won't go to that particular studio or that instructor again. I think for me, the biggest thing is, do I know who I am and do I have a relationship with God? And if I do, then I know where my boundaries are. I know what I'm comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with. If I ever felt like something was way out there and just really was not good for my spirit, I would definitely get up and gently and quietly walk out because I'm in charge of me and taking care of me and my soul. So,
As you're talking, I'm thinking, we believe in a God that is the source of all truth. We also know that, as it says in the Old Testament, my ways are not
your ways.
thy ways, right?
Mhm.
Your ways. And my thinking and my mind is not your mind. In other words, we are but little children, right? And so we don't understand things fully. And so, my faith and my testimony is that, man, I'm going to believe and I'm going to utilize any tool that encompasses truth.
Mhm.
So does meditation encompass truth?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Does breathing encompass truth?
Yes.
Absolutely. God is the founder of both of those.
Mm-hmm.
He put the breath of life into us,
Yes.
right? Meditation and movement is moving the body, right?
Mhm.
So for me, I feel like yoga is just a tool, right? It's a tool that you can use for mind and body and spirit.
Mhm.
And you could, and which brings me to glorify God.
Mhm.
Honestly, I could also do the very same practices and not have that connection with God. And it might be a tool with just a more of a physical, meditative practice. I think there are a lot of people, and I think there are a lot of people in yoga who might say, I'm spiritually minded, but I'm not involved in organized religion, or
Mhm.
I believe in a higher power, but not God. And I think that's where it comes from sometimes too, because I think a lot of people are drawn to yoga because it is a tool and it's
Yes.
powerful and it
Yes.
brings you into connection with some oneness to yourself.
Well, and a community.
Mhm.
That's a big thing in yoga, is having a community, having, like you said, that connection within that community and feeling bigger than yourself.
Uh,
I think sometimes it can feel like it's bigger than yourself because there's other people there you're connecting.
hmm.
And so it's not just yourself. And a lot of people need that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yoga doesn't scare me. Well, yoga fundamentally doesn't scare me, depending on the move. No, I'm not scared anymore. But you've helped me. Like, this has been our journey together, from honeymoon.
Uh-huh.
Honestly,
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. We went on a cruise, a Mexican Riviera cruise, and he agreed to take a yoga class. And it was kind of awesome though, because we were the only two in there. So it was almost like this private yoga
besides
lesson.
an instructor,
Well, yes. I mean, nobody else came to the class besides the instructor.
yeah, it was the three of us.
And so we got some good personalization in that yoga class that we might not have gotten if it wasn't just the two of us. And I thought it was fun. It was great.
It was fun. I would not have chosen that from the list of all the activities. And
I know, because you said that.
did I?
Yeah, I think you were like, I wouldn't have chosen this, but if it's something that you want to do, I'm open to trying it.
Absolutely.
One thing I love about you.
Now, my relationship yoga predates that. Like, I've tried yoga, I've attempted yoga, I've done it here and there. I've known that it's been important for me. I mean, goodness, there was a little piece of time in my early adulthood and young fatherhood where I was, I did yoga semi regularly. Rodney Yee and Patricia Walden had a video program called AM PM Yoga.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like perfect for me because it was short.
Yes.
And
He likes to have the short yoga classes, and I'm like, oh, that was it. I'm used to, going to classes and they're like an hour long. So I was like, oh, can we do this again?
Was it a hot yoga class that you and I did? That was an hour. Was that hot yoga?
I don't think
Remember
it was hot
down,
yoga.
down?
Oh, I remember. I know it. I know what
It
you're
wasn't
talking about.
hot. It was hard. Maybe it was hard yoga.
No, actually, it was called gentle yoga.
I don't remember that part.
I do, because that was one of the only classes that I went to at that studio. Was their gentle yoga. I loved the instructor.
She was great.
She was phenomenal. Unfortunately, the business owner was not, so I did not return. And the instructor, actually, she knew about everything that went on and she agreed with me. She was like, yeah, and you're not the only one that left. But yeah, she was great. So we go to this class. Okay, so Seth and I, we like to take turns planning date night. So it's not just on one person. And it's also really good because then, if like say yoga, I that's not what I meant. So on my turn, I got to pick. And so it's going to be things that, like he said, he typically wouldn't choose, oh, let's go do yoga. And so I was like, hey, we're going to go to my yoga class together. And so we get there and, mind you, I've gone many times. And we get there and we're like stretching. We laid out our mats and start stretching and preparing our bodies to start yoga. The instructor comes out and she starts asking questions to kind of see what type of yoga we want to do, like which type of area of our body do we want to focus on that night. And I don't remember what else she said, but then she said, okay, so we have 60 minutes together. And Seth was stretching and he stopped and he turned to me and goes, did she just say this class is 60 minutes long? And I was like, yeah, these classes are an hour. And he's like, oh my goodness. And then we proceed to do the class, and it was really great.
It was a good class.
It was really, really good. And then at the end, I think she made another comment at the very end. And then Seth was like, whoa, that was work. I was like, yeah, yoga can be great work. It was funny.
That reminds me of the comment our son made. I don't know that I remember it perfectly, but he like me is into athletics, right? He's a strong kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's in his 30s when he says this, right? Late 20s, 30s. And, he works out and he runs. And of course, he's into sports. And I think you mentioned yoga and working out or something like that.
No, so he was talking about, I believe it was sports and then different types of sports and working out, which ones were kind of hard. He was saying different things. He's like, some people think that, these other things are workouts and, like yoga. And immediately I was like, well, it is. And I had never spoken to him that way before. I mean, some context in that is he's my bonus son. And so he's never lived in the home with me because he was more of an adult age when we got married.
Yeah.
So he was just like taken back, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Did Stephanie just say that like that, And then he started backtracking a little like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. And I had never seen him that way either. And so it was a really fun, for me at least.
I don't even know if he remembers that. But
I think he does because I keep bringing it up. Like, hey, Jordan, you want to go do some yoga with me? Let's go do some yoga together. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yoga is work. It can be work. It can be work. It was that night.
Yeah, it was a good class.
It can also be gentle and relaxing, right?
Well, and I think also when you're not used to yoga, or sometimes when you're not as flexible, it can be a little harder on those people. I am hypermobile, and so for me, flexibility is not the issue in yoga. But also because I am hyper flexible, I have to make sure my alignment is on right, which actually typically is what my mind is on the most. It's like, oh, am I aligning right so I don't hurt myself, and that I'm doing the correct form to help my muscles and my bone structure. Anyways, that was funny.
It was a funny experience.
That he will never live down.
It's not like yoga. Excuse me? Yoga is work.
Yes, it is.
Well, I did some research and I just thought this would be interesting. This is a little more the esoterical, stuff about yoga, which really doesn't have anything to do with just being able to go and practice it. That's one of the cool things about yoga is, and not maybe fully being comfortable right? Oh, I was talking about Rodney Yee, right? And Patricia Walden, the
Yeah.
AM PM yoga. I like that yoga because it was, I don't remember. It was 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15, 18 minutes max, 20 minutes max. I don't remember.
I don't think it was that long.
Okay.
But.
So go check it out. You can go find it on YouTube, the old, YouTube videos of the old VHSs, right?
Yes.
And I loved those because they were short and I felt like they fit within my abilities, right? And that's one thing I think people need to know about yoga. Doesn't matter your age.
No.
How awesome is it when our girls come out, or our teenagers come out, or young adults come out and they do yoga with us?
Oh, I love it.
I know.
I love it.
I see them being like 6 times more flexible than I am, but I'm not comparing myself.
So I will, well, yeah. I will say that when I started doing the hot yoga with my friend Tiffany in Arizona, that I was really taken back and also inspired by the women that were in that class. At that time, I mean, that was over 10 years ago. At that time, there were so many of those women that were older than me, and they were in incredible shape and they were doing it, perfectly in this pretty, at the time, it was pretty hard for me, yoga class. It was hot yoga. So it was really hot. There was, the air was thick and you're just dripping sweat. And here they are just rocking it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to keep up with this because I want to be like them when I'm their age. And so, yes, it's definitely for all ages. And you start where you're at.
Absolutely. It is for anybody. And it can be for anybody, I should say.
Anybody
right?
who wants to, yes.
And I just think it is one of the best go-tos for anybody. I think it is way more approachable than many people think or give it credit.
Okay, so saying all this actually reminds me of somebody that I came across on YouTube, I believe it was. And I think, is it called DP Yoga? I can't remember. But this gentleman, he was a paratrooper and he had broken his back several times jumping out of airplanes. And he was reaching out because he could hardly function. And he was reaching out to different yoga instructors, seeing who could help him. And many of them said, "You're beyond repair. I can't help you." Probably saw more as a liability, to be honest. And until DP Yoga said, "You know what? Let's try this. I'm here for you. Let's see what we can do." And on this YouTube video, it's really short. It's like maybe 10 minutes or less. And it shows him going through like little clips, snippets of him trying to do yoga and as he's improving, and how at first all he is trying to do is stand up even without those braces. And it shows him falling over. One time he even, I think, fell into his like hutch on the side of the wall. And I'm like, oh, like cringing, like, oh my goodness, he's already hurt. Like, oh, I hope this helps him. And he ends up, I'm not going to tell you, but like it just shows his whole progress. And at the end, it's like even talking about him getting chills. Like it's so inspiring to me to know that no matter where you're at, you can start. Even if it's just small, you can start wherever you're at and just work at it every day and you can make progress. And his life has completely changed.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Here are a couple of things about yoga. Okay. 4 principles. And I'll read them. If you have any comments, great. If not, we'll get through them and won't be long. First principle is that the human body is a holistic entity comprised of various interrelated dimensions that are connected and inseparable from each other. Okay. And the health of one dimension, the health or wellness of, or the health or illness of one dimension affects
every other
dimensions.
Yeah.
Seems like we were talking about that on a recent podcast, right? Second principle, individuals and their needs are unique and therefore must be or should be approached in a way to acknowledge this individuality and that the practice must be tailored accordingly.
Absolutely. That does remind me of one of my first memories of doing yoga and how I was in a church building and somebody volunteered as a yoga instructor to come and teach any of the women in the community. And we were doing the yoga and doing some poses, and she was going around and helping people correct their poses or maybe gently push on them if they wanted a little more pressure to see if they could go down further in their position. And I remember her coming up to this woman, the instructor coming up to the woman next to me and helping her. And the woman said, "Well, hang on. Am I supposed to look like her?" Pointing at me. And I was like, oh no. And she was like, because I can't get down in that position like her.
I know that feeling.
Well, I loved it because then the instructor was like, oh, it's okay. I can't either. Like she was meeting her where she was at, and she was validating that just because she can do that doesn't mean that you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do what you can do and just improve on that.
It is 100% symbolic for our entire lives. You're not yogaing for anybody else. It is your own individual, intimate, personalized, authentic, unique journey.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
Love it. Number 3, yoga is self-empowering. The student is her own healer. Okay. Yoga engages the student in healing process by giving you the opportunity to be active in your journey toward healing and wholeness. We're always saying this, part of our business, right? CEO women, you are the CEO of your own health, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is an advisor. And number 4, the quality and state of an individual's mind is crucial to healing. Mm-hmm. So the attitude you bring into it, the state of mentality you bring into it, will affect the experience and that mind-body state. And if you're in flow, positivity, gratitude, and for all of those who are really, want to be faith-based, if you're part of an organized religion, right, connected to God, right, then that positivity and that light and understanding is going to lead you, further. And
well, and I strongly believe that that's not just with yoga. That's with any type of physical ailment that's going on. With my own health journey that I'm still on, seeing lots of improvements, I have found that to be true for myself. Is the more positive I am, the better my body feels. Like everything's not just going to go away because I'm being positive, but it does aid in the healing process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the benefits that I never really thought about with yoga. It is connecting in a unique way that I never considered, that trifecta, mind, body, and spirit. Basketball is there. It's a mental game as well as a physical game. And I grow and learn and develop in different ways there, but I am loving this yoga thing. So
wow,
I am. I haven't told you.
No, you haven't.
I'm telling you. Okay, so
I'm trying to hold back all my excitement. Like this has been a passion of mine for at least 15 years, and he's finally getting on board, guys.
All right, so here's the deal. I'm loving yoga. How did I get to love yoga? Because 20, 30 years ago, I didn't love it, right? And I did it off and on, more off than on. And from our honeymoon, we've been doing this, and I've still been pretty much off.
Yeah, pretty much. That's partly why when we went to the yoga class, you didn't realize it was going to be an hour long, even though I had told you. But if you were on board, then you would have remembered that and been excited.
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's part of the journey, right?
Yep.
So over the last year and a half, as I'm now in my late 40s, and I've started to honestly appreciate good health more than I ever have.
Yeah.
And be more willing to even invest more. Right. The number one thing you can do for your health right now is to have the mentality that I want to invest in it. Right. No matter where you are. Right. And some of you, you're on a health journey. And what that means is there's a whole lot of meaning behind that statement. And you've gone through some sucky times and you might still be there. Right.
Yep.
So I've had this appreciation, and I've made some concerted efforts, some decisions in various ways, which we're going to get to as soon as we get off of yoga. But while we're in this pose,
it's okay. We could be on yoga and I'd be totally fine.
I know, like this is rolling. This is really rolling. So I would say that over the last year or so, I have thought I need to be doing more yoga, right? Muscle mass important to me, and flexibility and balance. As 3 kind of goals, things on my mind, tailored to my body, what I know about me, where I want to go, how I want to be, how I want to live now and in the future. And well, guess what? You know what intersects in all of those? Yep, yoga. And so I thought I really need to do something. And you and I've had some awesome experiences. We did last year we did some hikes and we did yoga in the mountains.
Yeah, that was so fun. In fact, I've been thinking about it lately. I'm like, oh, we got to do that for another date.
And it was
so
partner
good.
yoga.
Yes.
It was partner yoga. So, and we made a bunch of posts on that on social, but how fun that was to be totally learning. It was awesome. Just working on those poses, and trying and failing and trying and refining and laughing our heads off.
I was going to say, having fun.
It was so fun.
It was.
Then we went and did an acro yoga class. What was that, 6 months ago? Probably more.
I don't know.
Last year sometime.
Too long. It was too long. That's what it was.
And that was next level.
Yes, it was.
I wouldn't have thought I could do that.
Which is funny because I knew you could the whole time. That's why I kept saying, hey, let's go try this. Let's go do this.
Oh, man, that was so fun. I was just thinking, seriously, this past week, I was thinking, I yearn for acro yoga. I so want to do that.
Wow. It's taking our marriage to the next level, honey.
Amen. Still, notwithstanding those, how many times, if you went back, to last year, how many times did I do yoga by myself, or how many times did I do it with you? Not very often.
No.
I was pretty much more off than on. It wasn't habitual, right? And if you want the benefits, ideally, guess what? You want to make it a habit, right? You really need to.
Well, and honestly, it wasn't really that big of a desire for you. You wanted it, but it wasn't totally there yet.
Yeah.
For you to really want to do it.
And I was increasing, I still play basketball 2, 3, 4 times a week. I got more into resistance training, strength training over the last year and a half, and that's been amazing. So I was making
hot dang, it has.
I'm starting to get red.
That doesn't happen very often, folks. Usually it's me, the one that's turning red.
I can feel you might not see it, but I could feel the flush. I literally could. It's like my premenopausal. This is a hot flash. So I've been making progress in those, but specifically my basketball game and what I'm doing from a training standpoint, because I have some goals there, right? Competition wise and strength training and weight training. I've been out in our gym a lot last year. It's been so refreshing. Yeah. But the third leg of that stool, I pretty much ignored.
Even though I did tell you and the kids, I brought up many times how I had a good friend when I was a single mom who was a guy, and he was a firefighter, a hot shot, and he regularly practiced hot yoga. In fact, I believe his captain even suggested it to all the firefighters because it keeps them flexible and able to do more and help more. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've known this. It's been riding with me. It has not left me. It's kind of like this little my little yogi, right? My little yogi here on the shoulder. That's kind of weird. Yeah. There's a little yogi bobblehead.
Oh my goodness.
It's just it was the reminder that I want to, and I need to be doing this. And then I don't know, month and a half ago, came along and in a similar group, connected professionally, a woman by the name of Kelly France. All right. Actually we might've met actually in some of our circles, but she wrote a book, and it's called One Goal for 100 Days, right? One Goal for 100 Days. Somehow it just caught me because of everything. 100. I love those numbers. And it's a motivational journal. Okay. And she did this for her business team. She builds sales teams. And I just started reading about that, reading the reviews and looking in the book. And I thought, I got to do this. And so I think it's brilliant. And I want to lead our teams to do that. And and then I thought, what's my one goal? What's the one thing? I've got spiritual goals that we're working on. We've got our marriage goals. I've got my health goals that I'm working on, business, our business goals. And it literally just, what's that you say?
Oh my goodness.
Literally that there was just a thought popped in my mind, yoga. And I thought, no question, I'm doing it. I'm going to do yoga.
Yeah, it literally for me, it popped up out of nowhere that he's like, yeah, I'm going to do yoga for 100 days. In fact, did you even tell me or did you just start doing it?
I might have
And I'm like, wait, why are you doing yoga without me? Like, what is this? I went in on this.
I just knew it had been a personal goal and I had put it off and I made a decision. And so the parameters basically are, I mean, I get to decide what they are, but
Yeah.
it's 100 days straight. What if you make a mistake? What if you miss? Then get back on the wagon. But guess what? I've not missed.
I know. I've actually been very proud of you. I haven't done the yoga every day with him. But
we've done it a lot.
I would say I've done maybe around 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
And honestly, a handful of those times it's been like at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, dude, I'm tired. Like, even though I love yoga, that's one of the last things I want to do right now. But then I'm like, you know what? If it's only like 10 minutes, sometimes 15, that's my max. I can do that. Like I can make that happen. And I always feel good after. Every single time I have felt good after.
There hasn't been a time that I've
grateful.
regretted it.
Yeah.
Honestly. And sometimes it's been at 11:30 or 12 or midnight 30.
Usually
right?
Those are the ones I don't
You're
do.
asleep, right?
I'm not asleep, but I'm not doing it with you.
So the parameters are every single day. And I just need to do a 10-minute session. I kind of gave myself a not the lowest ceiling, right? In other words, okay, I did 1 minute of yoga. No, you got to do a 10-minute session. That was what I decided.
Yeah.
And 10, 15, 20, 25, it doesn't matter, like depending on when we're doing it. But I've done this in the snow. And we were down in southern Utah last week. And I think you were getting the girls ready for bed or something. And or you were talking, I don't remember. And I was out in our friend's driveway. Right.
Yeah.
And we have a Sprinter van, right? A Mercedes Sprinter that we travel in. So I turn on the side light. I don't know if you even saw it.
I saw a clip of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You saw the clip.
Yeah.
I threw out the yoga mat on their driveway, and it's like midnight or whatever, 11:30 at night. I've got the side light from our RV there, and I did an impromptu kind of self-directed session, and it's been fun. And then we had this last week where you and I were at the Petrified Dunes.
Yes, that was cool. With the most stunning backdrop ever. It was gorgeous. Like that whole hike and then doing the yoga and then doing the hike back. I'm like, oh, just soak it in. It's so pretty.
Grounding, literally connected to the earth. That was day 37, by the way. So last night was day 40 and have not missed a day. And I will tell you, I don't even know why I'm getting emotional about that. I feel really emotional about this, which is really surprising. I was in our home gym a few days ago and just thinking about this journey. I've never done 40 days of yoga. I've never done 40 days straight of probably any exercise, although I'm super active, just because there are things, right? There are Sundays. I typically don't work out on Sundays. I do yoga on Sunday, right? Because it brings me, it invites me to be a better son of God, But I was in the gym and I just thought, wow, after I finish this, maybe I'll do 1,000. Like it was just this, I want this to be a part of me because of how good I feel in many facets.
Yeah.
I
have thought about, this has been really inspiring for me to think about, well, what goal can I do for 100 days? I don't know if you remember, but I did do yoga for 30 days.
It's part of your 40 by 40?
Yeah, part of my 40 by 40. And I did yoga for 30 days straight, even when I was in Africa. And my two roommates, they were in bed, sometimes asleep, sometimes not. And I was like, okay, I've got this tiny little hallway and I don't have a yoga mat. So how can I do it sanitary? I don't know.
Sanitarily?
There you go. Sanitarily.
How can I not die?
So I was doing it and I was so proud of myself, even though sometimes it was only 5 or 10 minutes, but I'm like, I felt better. I stretched, I calmed down, I went to bed and it was great. It was great. So I can only imagine, what 100 days is going to do for you and what I'm going to do for my next 100 days. I even thought about doing something as simple as walking. I don't necessarily love just walking.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I decide to do.
Awesome. I'm here to support you, babe.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to move on we're going to wrap up yoga here in this part of movement. But I did want to share with everybody that I did some research on on some peer-reviewed published research. So kind of like yoga at the scientific level, right? And this is basically the summary of the health benefits, and they called them mind, body, and spirit. And I'm just going to read through some of what was in the International Journal of Yoga. This is a 2011 compendium study. But mental health problems, depression, anxiety, stress, insomnia, most common reasons for people to seek treatment with complementary therapies such as yoga. Tranquility of the mind, sense of well-being, relaxation, improved self-confidence, improved efficiency, increased attentiveness, lowered irritability, optimistic outlook on life. Yoga balances energy, which is vital to the function of our immune system.
Absolutely.
Yoga leads to an inhibition of the posterior or sympathetic area of the hypothalamus, which optimizes our bodies for dealing with stress stimuli. Okay. Lower anxiety, heart rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, cardiac output. Okay. In practicing yoga and meditation. Consistent yoga practices improve depression. Okay. And it can lead to significant increases in serotonin levels, coupled with decreases in the level of monoamine oxidase, which is an enzyme that breaks down neurotransmitters and cortisol. Like I'm hardly even through this, right? I won't even read all of this, but again, back to depression, stress, anxiety, improved flexibility, reduced aches and pains, building muscle mass, maintaining muscle strength, which in turn protects from conditions such as arthritis, osteoporosis, back pain, reduced pain in people with arthritis, carpal tunnel syndrome, back pain, other chronic conditions, increases proprioception, which is how our bodies interact with the environment, right? Balance, how we, holding things, etc. Blood flow, levels of hemoglobin, red blood cells, etc., etc., etc. Wow. I didn't even finish.
Powerful.
Super powerful.
And I will say, being on my health journey, I feel like almost every natural practitioner, it's not just practitioners that I've been to, but anybody that I've seen in the healing modality has recommended yoga. Even when they say, you shouldn't be doing these other modalities, but yoga seems to be a safe one in any situation.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's inspired. I think it's awesome. Chair yoga. Like if you don't feel like you have flexibility, maybe, if you're in your senior years or you have some sort of limitation, you can do chair yoga. I did a chair yoga one of the days, 20 days ago or whatever it was.
Well,
it was chair yoga.
They even have yoga in your bed.
I did bed yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many different kinds of yoga. My sister even got certified to do trauma yoga for youth and kids. So kids and youth that have gone through trauma, this can help them so much.
Absolutely. You can do yoga by yourself. You can do it self-directed. You can do it impromptu. You can, go to I know you're very social.
I am totally extroverted. I will say the older I get, the more I realize that I have a little bit of, at least this is what people have said, sometimes you can be totally extroverted or introverted, or you can have like little of both or whatever. But I feel like I'm mostly extroverted. I can be totally tired and, I get in with a group of friends and it's like, wait, what? I was tired. But there are some times as I'm getting older and we're having more kids and, grandkids and everything that I do need to take a little bit of time by myself. But I am very extroverted. And because of that, I can do some of these things at home but it's a lot harder for me. I'm a very social person. I like a lot of change. I like a little routine, but a lot of change when it comes to working out. And I think that's one reason why I like yoga so much is because there's so many types of yoga that are offered. And even depending on just the instructor, it can be the same class, but the instructor will do it a little differently. And I love that. And then on top of it, I love being in a room. I'm an empath. And so I feel other people's energies. And that really helps to boost my own energy. And I just love it. I love doing classes. That's like my favorite thing ever.
And I like doing it at home. But I'm open to classes. I like the efficiency.
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And, I talked about Rodney Yee and Patricia Walden, that video I watched 20 some odd years ago, 30 some odd years ago. And today we use a resource which is free online
Mhm.
that you introduced me to.
Yoga with Adriene. She has like thousands of videos of yoga. She even has some that are like, oh, you want to do a 30-day journey? Okay, let's do it. And she goes through, every single day and has a different yoga practice for each day. And I really appreciate her voice. Her humor is kind of funny.
She's
There's
funny
one that we
sometimes.
did, and I was like, I won't ever do that one again.
Yoga with aliens.
Yes, alien yoga. I was like,
She was mixing it up for sure.
yeah, she was. But yes, she's probably my favorite online instructor right now.
Oh, so awesome. Tasteful.
Yes.
It's a safe place.
Well, I really love how in yoga they meet you where you're at, and then it feels like their goal is to just bring you up. It's very uplifting in so many ways. I love how you do poses and different things, and they gently talk you through it, and they give you very positive words to put in your mind to help you.
One thing Adriene does as well in the sessions, and again, we just watch it on YouTube, right? So you pull out your mat if you got one, or just do it right there in whatever room you're in, and you watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your computer. And she'll say, okay, we're going to move into this move. Now, if you'd like a little more, then you can do this move from here. You can stretch that leg. If you need a little less, right? Or we're just going to keep it right here. She usually actually starts, I feel, at kind of the base level and then lets you kind of upgrade or test that. So again, for somebody who's not super flexible innately, it's been awesome to be able to participate and have that flexibility. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I can do that extra one. Boop. Get my leg up, Three-legged dog.
Yes.
So Yoga with Adriene, Adriene. That's how you spell Adriene. Go check her YouTube channel out. Some awesome stuff. So moving on, movement, self-care for the body. I want to talk a little about muscles. Okay. Yoga has absolutely, everything to do with that. You need to know this word, sarcopenia, right? If you're over the age of 30, you're in it right now. Okay. If you're under the age of 30, you're some of the younger women in our community, you're going to be there. All right. Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of lean muscle mass. And what we need to know about that is that that's dangerous. Okay. Losing your lean muscle. Between the ages of 30 to 70, you're going to lose potentially, depending on your lifestyle, right? Depending what you're doing, depending on if you're doing resistance training, depending on how active you are, and of course your diet. But the numbers show that you can lose easily 30 to 40%.
It's mind-blowing.
That is mind-blowing. I saw some numbers last night, I think, that showed that even between the age of 50 and 70. So let's half the time.
Okay.
Between 50 and 70, you might lose 40 to 50%. Maybe it was 40%. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing about muscle loss. There's an inverse relationship as you age. There's an inverse relationship between your lean muscle mass and all-cause mortality. Meaning that the lower your muscle mass, comparatively speaking, right, maybe to your previous self, the higher your risk for all cause of mortality, i.e. death, right? And let's expand that, like not just death. What comes before death? The decline, right? Like dying doesn't scare me. I'm not afraid of that. But going into decline certainly doesn't sound like fun. The higher your muscle mass is, the healthier your lean muscle mass is, the lower the risk of all cause mortality. So doing something about making sure your movement is affecting your muscles. Well, guess what you have to have in order to move? Muscles, right? I also think it's important for women because when you lose muscle mass, guess what is also affected?
Your bones.
And if you're a woman that's aging, we all are. We're all living longer, right? We're all living today. If you're a woman over 30, then you have to be mindful about the entire musculoskeletal system, right? osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, etc. So that's where yoga comes in.
Yes.
We may get to some strength training. Well, we'll just mention strength training and then we'll go into the rest of the agenda.
Okay.
But when I say strength training and muscle training, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Weights.
Okay.
Weights, and then resistance, like body resistance.
Your body is weight, right?
Yeah.
Bands, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to go deep into that today because that's not the scope. We really went deep on yoga, but we do want to bring up the fact that protecting, maintaining, building, loving, flourishing your lean body mass at whatever age you are is paramount, critical.
And I want to say something. I think, like, at least for myself or others that I've seen, it's like, oh, well, this is the thing to do. Oh, I should go do that. Actually, the best thing to do is, try things out, but the best thing to do is the thing that you're going to stick with the most. Like for me, it's yoga, and I've tried other things, and I can do them and it's fine. But the one thing that I keep wanting to go back to is yoga. And so that's the thing that I need to focus on in order to be consistent and have all those benefits.
And the more you're consistent in one thing, if you want to add to that,
it's easier.
It's easier.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to mention, the research also shows that no matter where you are right now with your lean muscle mass, that you can build muscle mass. The research shows you can build muscle mass into your 90s, like significantly. Wow. And that means that you could be in a state of decline over the last 10 years, and you could be 70 right now. And you could start appropriately. You got to start at the right level.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't go try to
be safe.
Don't go to try to bench press 3 times your body weight. Just start with something. Start small, but you can build that muscle mass. The body will respond and gladly do that. In fact, there was a study. This comes from a book that I read a couple of years ago by Doc. I think it was Harry Dent, if I remember correctly, called "Younger Next Year." The whole idea, wouldn't it be amazing to be younger next year, biologically younger?
Absolutely.
Emotionally, feeling in your body. So I believe they were in a nursing home, and essentially they put all the patients in the study in the nursing home on some sort of resistance training, some sort of strengthening training. And basically the result was this, that those that were walking were running. After strengthening their muscles, increasing lean body mass, those that were walking were now running. Those that were in walkers were now walking freely. Those that were in bed were now walking with walkers. Everybody across the board, every category.
I believe it.
So
I believe it.
Get to that. Make sure that you're doing something to increase your lean muscle mass.
One influencer that I follow, and I absolutely love that she says every single day she posts either a picture or a video of her working out. And she says, do something for you today. To me, that's just like, whoa, okay, yeah. Have I done something? Like it's almost like my little check-in. I don't see her every day, but when I do, it's like, oh, what have I done today? And if I haven't, then it inspires me to do something, even if it's something very small.
And going public with it. I've heard people, I've heard this kind of satirical approach, commentary, criticism. Listen, I don't want to see your workout online one more time.
Then don't follow me.
Exactly. Exactly. What good could I do, by posting, my journal, honestly, this journal, I write in the journal sometimes, but my journal, honestly, is the fact that I record our session. We quickly edit it and just show a minute clip. We make it into a short form video and show people, like, who cares that you're in your home? Who cares that I do? And I'm going to share that there may be one person out there who's inspired to do something for themselves, yoga or something else.
Yeah. Whatever it is, do something for you today.
Where are moms on that, by the way? You're a mom. You've got kids at home. You've got kids out. What's the reality as we wrap up talking about movement? What's the reality of the challenge sometimes of doing something for your body, healthy for your body, in a movement standpoint every single day?
It's difficult. I think that's probably one of my biggest struggles right now is figuring out, especially because I'm the type where if I'm doing yoga or I'm doing some type of resistance or anything like that, I like to zone in and focus on that. And so when the kids are coming in and, mom, or like, crawling on me or whatever, that's why I love it when they join me. It's like, okay, yay, let's do this together. I think that's the biggest struggle for me right now is finding the time where they don't, get bored of if they're doing it with me or, need something right away or touching me or asking me questions or whatever when I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing, kind of getting in that zone for even just, 20 minutes or so. But something that I've been thinking about a lot more is what are some things that I can do daily that incorporate the kids in it? I think it's really important. I know it's really important to have them at least see us doing it so that they have a desire to create that lifestyle for themselves as they grow. And I feel like that is something that we're being successful at is at least
Modeling it.
at least with our girls. Yeah, we're really stepping it up, not only for ourselves, but modeling it for our children. And they see that. And, just like, one thing that I've been doing is myofunctional therapy. I just started that. And our daughter was supposed to be doing some type of myofunctional therapy a little bit before me. And it was really hard for me to remember. And it was also even harder because she didn't want to do it. She had excuses as to why she didn't want to do it. So it was a lot of resistance. But as soon as I started doing it out in the open, which was still really hard because, oh, mom, what are you doing? Oh, and I'm doing all this stuff with my mouth, especially like I can't talk
You're
a
trying
lot.
to concentrate.
I'm trying to concentrate and I can't really talk a lot because it has to do with my jaw and my mouth and the muscles and everything. And so, sometimes I have like different things in my mouth that I'm trying to exercise, my mouth. And anyways, it was a little difficult, but I got through it and didn't yell at them. I got through it patiently and lovingly. And then I noticed that our daughter kept saying, oh, I want to do it. Can you help me with it today? Oh, I need to do my mouth therapy. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so powerful. She's seen that I am doing my practices and it makes her want to do those practices all because she saw me doing it.
I've noticed, curiously, I didn't really know the backstory here. I've noticed curiously recently that she's been proactive and coming to me. Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, I need to do this. Hey, I need to get this. I'm like, usually, it doesn't happen that way.
Yep. It happened the day that I started practicing out on the family room couch and the girls came in and were like, what are you doing?
So 3 steps, I think to kind of encapsulate this recommendation. Number 1, model it, make a decision and do it. Number 2, make time to incorporate them into it.
Whether that's, waiting until they go to bed. And even if it's just 10 minutes, if I've realized that if I'm doing, sometimes it's like, oh, only 10 minutes, but 10 minutes over a week, that's 60 to 70 minutes, whereas if you didn't do it because you're like, oh, it's only 10 minutes, that would be zero.
Exactly.
Like it adds up. It makes a difference. So even if it's just 10 minutes after they get in bed, then do the 10 minutes to devote to you and your health.
Yeah. So on the one hand, invite your children and involve them.
Yes.
It was so awesome when we were recording on top of the petrified dunes, right? One of my favorite yoga sessions of my life, honestly. The surrounds and the girls were there and they were watching and they were resting and kind of playing around. But when we finished our session on camera,
oh, that's right.
Ruth came up to us, our 6-year-old, and said, Dad, wait, it's you and me now. And so we kept we made a new recording and we recorded our session and she was leading me. She was leading me. She wanted me to follow her.
I think that was my favorite part was she was leading. Like she was talking like, okay, now we're going to put our hands in front of our hearts.
Now we're going to do eagle. And
so cute.
And then Hannah wanted to do it. And so she did it with you. And then we did a family one.
Yes.
Modeling it. You got to do it somewhere or other. You make sure that that you do it and your kids can see. Yes. And they know it's important. Incorporate them with it. And then make time for yourself too. Like they don't have to be involved in it every time.
Yep.
And you have to invest in you. Because if you don't invest in you, if you don't cleanse, as it says in the New Testament, if you don't cleanse the inner vessel, then why are you worried about the outer vessel when you haven't done the inner vessel? Right?
Well, and on top of it, if I don't take care of me, there's less of me to take care of my kids.
Absolutely.
Or to help serve my brothers and sisters out in the world, the community.
Love it. Well, what about somatics?
So somatic exercises, I honestly, I had kind of heard about it, but I hadn't really dove in to kind of see what it was or anything like that. And then around Black Friday, because I love a good deal.
Can I just add, she loves a good deals. Let's put an S
I
on
do
there.
love good deals. And I'm quite good at it too.
It's great though. It's great.
I'm good at it. And so, I had been on Instagram just looking through some things, and this woman, the workout witch, even like the word witch like makes me cringe even every time I say it. But anyways, the workout witch, she had an ad pop up, or like, like you're looking through and you can see different people's posts. Somebody will come up in your post and you're like, "Oh wait, I don't know who they are." So hers popped up in my post scrolling, and I just had this draw towards it. Like, as an empath, sometimes I just know immediately I need to be doing this. I would also like to think that it's the Holy Spirit telling me, like, this is for you, girl. And so I was like, oh, okay, I need to be doing this. I should probably look into it, so that I know what I'm doing, and also so that I can actually do it. And so I clicked on it and I looked through her stuff, and she has all different types of little courses that you can buy and do. So I was looking through them, and one was to free your hips, I think is what it's called. So women especially, but not men too, but women store a lot of emotion. And if you've been through any type of trauma, anything like that it's stored in your hips and in your pelvic region. The best thing that you can do is to loosen and free your hips. So that was one. And I was like, oh, I need that. That sounds good. And I also already knew that your pelvis and your jaw are connected. And so, like, let's say when a woman is in labor, if her jaw is really tense and tight, labor is not going to go as smoothly. That's just one example. And so the next thing that I saw was a class on how to, I can't remember what it's called, but something about loosening your jaw and also your shoulders and your upper back. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need those two classes too. Like, I totally need it. I feel it. And then I look, and she had all three of them in a package that's an even better deal. And I was like, oh yes, this is awesome. Me and my deals. So
Deals.
so I I downloaded it, I bought it, downloaded it, and start doing it. And so I don't fully know a lot. I know that it's small movements that help your nervous system to feel safe. And when our nervous system feels safe with these small and slow movements, then it can relax and your body can start healing. And so when you've been through a lot of trauma, or if you go through a lot of stress, those things, when you're in fight or flight mode a lot, which I've recently found out through my airway specialist and other professionals, they're like, you're in fight or flight like all the time, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm realizing that I am, and that I've done that for decades, to be honest, like just decades. And that really plays a big pays your nervous system pays a big toll. And so the goal is to get you out of this fight or flight so that your nervous system is relaxed and that you can function a lot better. And so starting the somatic exercises, she talks about at the very beginning, it was so validating. And she just talks about how people are going to be at all different walks of life, being able to do these somatic exercises differently. If you can't do the actual exercise to the full extent, then pull it back to whatever extent you can do it, even if it's just laying on your bed and thinking, closing your eyes and really imagining your body doing the exercises. If that's where you're at, start there and then build yourself up so that you can do these exercises. And she talks about that throughout the exercises. Like, it's okay if you can't, extend your leg, where it's supposed to. Do it where you can. And then let's build it from there. But it was very validating because she talks about how doing these exercises is going to bring up a lot of emotion, and it doesn't happen typically immediately. A lot of times it's around week 5, but it can happen sooner. I talked to my sister who had done this program before I did, and she said it was on, I think, week 3. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I started it And immediately, just in the intro, talking about this is a safe place. If feelings come up, if you feel like crying, let it out. Feel your emotions. Let's process this. Let's work through this. Even if you have no idea why you feel like crying, let it out. This is a safe place. It's okay. You're not lazy. Like, she says these things that are very validating and make it a safe place, to where I just started bawling my eyes out in the intro. And I was like, yes, this is amazing. I'm so excited to do this. This feels so good. Because I mean, going through trauma the last, 5 years or so, I have not cried a lot. I really haven't, even to the point where the talk therapist, he was like, Stephanie, for all that you've been through, I'm surprised that you don't cry more. And I was like, well, I just don't feel like crying. But that wasn't really it.
It wasn't that the emotion wasn't there or that the tears weren't there. They were just locked in your pelvis.
So
symbolically
sure.
speaking.
Well, and honestly, sometimes I did feel a little bit come up, but I think I pushed it down subconsciously. And I wonder if it's because I didn't feel like I was in a safe enough place in some ways. And sometimes in talk therapy, I cried a little, but not a whole lot. Or I didn't necessarily give myself permission, or I didn't get permission from others. And so when the workout witch said, you can cry, even if you don't know why, if those feelings come up, let it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I just got permission to cry, even if it was for no reason, because it really was for a reason, but I just didn't know why. The subconscious knew, was holding and storing all that. And so I was able to let it out. And it was so cleansing, so freeing, that I was like, yes, I want to keep doing this. And honestly, I haven't had that experience again yet, but I have had a little bit of releases. But I haven't done it in weeks. And so I'm going to go back to day one and start it over. And I'm really interested to see how I'm going to do now that I'm in an even better place, if I'm going to be able to let things loose and let myself cry and really just let it come up and let it come out. Yeah, she's just really good at also saying during these movements and these classes, she says, do it in the laziest way possible. Like, shift from this position to this position and do it in the laziest way possible. And that was something that I also had never been given permission to do. Yeah. And so for me, it was like, wait, did she just tell me I could do this in a lazy way? Because that's honestly what I needed. I needed to be able to do it slow and to do it just very relaxed. And what I've learned through the somatic exercises is that slow movement heals the nervous system. So next time when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking dinner and it takes me an hour and a half when really it should only take me 45 minutes or less, just remember I'm healing my nervous system.
You're doing somatics.
I am.
This is called somatic cooking with Stephanie.
I am. But if you think about it, I think my body already knew that I needed slow movement, because how do I get out of bed?
You get out slow.
It is very slow.
Oh my goodness.
How do I cook? It's very slow. I mean, how do I get ready? It's very slow. That's just how I move right now, unless I'm dancing, then it's fast. But typically, even when we dance, though, a lot of times I'm like, I can't do it as fast as you want to.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that you're a fast dancer. You can move. You can move. Yeah, you can move. But I would say it's a very methodical and fluid kind of way. It's not, you're not, I get out of bed. Boom. I cook.
It is boom. Very fast.
I don't know that my dancing's that way. Maybe a little.
Yes, it is. I constantly have to say, slow down.
Slow it down. Yeah. We have some friends in Hawaii, Daisy Goodwin. They have a business called Slow Yourself Down.
Maybe that's why I keep saying, I got to go to Hawaii and see our team.
That's right.
I got to go to Hawaii because I need, even talking about it, my whole body's relaxing. Okay, honey, I need to go to Hawaii.
Okay, let's make it happen. Let's do an episode. Let's do an episode in Hawaii. Well, let's do a number of episodes. As you're speaking about this, I'm putting, one and one and two together. That's you do that. That's how you move.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, and I just thought, and I'm a very fast paced boom.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes do you say, I don't know how, like I slam things down, right? Like
yes,
Thor.
Another.
That
I was even thinking about that this morning when we were getting ready to for the day and also to do the podcast, and I'm like, oh, I got to go out of the room. He's just like picking stuff up and just setting it down,
I was putting on my my face cream, and I'm like, done.
That wasn't the only thing, and I'm like, okay,
that was the only.
Okay, thing. My nervous system needs to leave this room.
But as I thought about it, I thought, and I enjoy my fast pace of life. But yoga is expanding me into another dimension, right? It's not that, Seth, you're doing it wrong.
No.
It's just, how do you expand and develop yourself into an even more rich, powerful, I say that symbolically, right? Yeah. Person, rich as in like taste, like when something tastes good, it's rich, right? And I thought, I'm going to work. I'm going to continue to explore this area of just moving slowly.
Okay, that's too slow.
It felt good to me. All of our listeners may be asleep on that last sentence, but
well, I will say, now that we're talking about this, so like if you don't take care of trauma, if you don't take care of your nervous system, it builds as you get older until you do take care of it. Like at one point in your life, your body is going to make you take care of it.
It will give you a hard signal.
It will. And so looking back, I was a cheerleader in 8th grade. I loved it. I thrived on it. It was great. I was in a really small team, and it was a really good environment. But I loved it. I was so energetic. When I was younger, my family they nicknamed me Tigger because I was bouncing around all over the place, doing things, hitting people on accident because I'd just be bouncing around in the kitchen or, breaking things or whatever. Like that's just how I was. In high school, people would always be like, why are you walking so fast? Where are you going? Like, because I was a speed walker. Really? Partly, I think it's because we had like a school of like 3,000 kids in a smaller school. And so it was like, if I don't hurry and speed walk, I'm going to be late to my class. But I was a speed walker, but I don't find myself doing that anymore.
No, I don't find you doing that either. Because I'm always looking behind me as we're in the airport going somewhere. I'm like, all right, slow yourself down.
Well, not because I'm walking slow. It's because I can't run as fast as you do. Especially because typically I start off with a full water bottle in the morning and then I have to drink it before I go through security.
True.
But if I stop for a bathroom break, then we're going to miss our flight.
This is also true. I heard somebody put it this way recently, this past week, and I think it is profound. Called it the rain barrel effect.
Okay.
And you imagine a big 50-gallon drum that fills with rainwater. Right? Don't imagine this in Arizona where you're from, since it's going to take a long time. It's going to evaporate between rains.
You have to do it right after monsoon season.
Right. There you go. But it fills. Pardon me. It collects rain. In other words, there's an input, right? Negative or positive.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily really notice a difference. You don't notice a difference in the barrel typically from day to day. And on the outside of that barrel in the environment, you don't notice that. But as the rains continue to come, the barrel does what it's going to do. It collects that. And again, positive or negative, what is the input into that barrel? Well, at some point, it's going to rise. The level of that rain water collected in that barrel will continue to rise over time until at one point, it's going to overflow. There will be almost an exponential reaction from an incremental input. And then you're going to have to do something about it, right? You're going to you can't ignore it any longer. And that, I'm going to say, that is everything to do with doing good, investing, starting to move today, starting yoga today, starting walking today, starting something for 100 days today.
Yeah.
It also it will have the opposite effect if it's something bad. If you continue, if the rain symbolically is ignoring something, not listening to your body over and over and over, there's input, there's a stimulus there, right? There's a communication every single day. That rainwater's there and it's getting a little bigger, but we don't do anything about it. That's how you break your health.
Yep.
That's
also how you heal your health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So get it. All right. Well, we have a little mini ebook you can find on the show's website, theforeveryoungshow.com, under resources. So go to theforeveryoungshow.com, click on resources. We have a mini ebook. It's super mini, like emphasis on mini. Like this is not a long read, a mini ebook called 7 Hidden Habits. 7 Hidden Habits to Activating Amazing Health. And guess what habit? Well, I don't remember which one. It's one of the 7. It's 3, 4, 5. It's movement. All right. So if you'd like that free resource, you can go there. You could also read the other 6 habits. It's a great place. It's a great place to start your rain barrel of investing in your health. And wow, we covered 2 of the 3 subjects on our agenda today.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was fun.
It was.
That was a
Let's
lot
do it
of fun.
again.
Let's do it again. All right. We'll be back next week with another incredible episode of the Forever Young Show. Today was all about self-care for you in your body.
Yes. We'll have to save the other part maybe for another episode.
100%. Yeah. We've got some amazing guests coming on. We're going to be talking about professional care. I don't know if we want to give a teaser.
I don't know. Do we?
I'm all about teasing.
Yeah, but I don't know. Your teasers sometimes aren't just little.
90 minutes later, and there you go. So we're gonna talk about professional care, about some practitioners that we see, about some of the products. They're right here. They're right here off screen. I am loving using these. Right.
Well, one you even just tried last night.
Oh my!
Even though I've been using it for a few months and have said how much I absolutely love it. But he finally tried it. And how was it, babe?
Wow. Yeah. Most amazing mouthwash I've ever had in my life. It's just amazing. That's a little Easter egg. Okay. So we're going to be talking about that. Biodentistry. Oh, dang it. I let it out. Anyway, we're going to be talking about biodentistry and professional care and some of the modalities that we're currently working on or have finished up. We want to jump into some food and nutrition stuff because that's so huge as well. You walk into the grocery store today and you walk into Costco. Mm-hmm. I can really say this for Costco, but any big box store. And 60, 70%, maybe 80% of what is on the shelves is highly processed or ultra processed. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be talking about why it's important to be aware of that. We're going to jump into personal care and cosmetic products. So,
maybe throw out some giveaways.
Oh yeah, we got some goods. By the way, we actually do. We're starting a regular weekly share. We'll call it the free share, i.e., giveaway. Some of our favorite products that we use, that we recommend, and in order to be in on that, you got to be part of our VIP community. So, go to the website, and you can join the VIP community, and be the first to know about what we're doing with the show. You also get private content.
Yes. Things that are said, off screen, but recorded. Yeah. You'll want to check it out. You'll want to get those. They're good.
It's just a way that we can share a little more of the intimacy of the show with you. So before what gets edited out sometimes, or often a before conversation or an after conversation. Okay. We're getting in the studio and, tripods are falling down and, we've got spikes in the sound. That was last week's, by the way, with episode 8 with McKenna. We were getting ready and, but having a fun conversation. So we want you to feel more a part of the family and the community of what we're doing here together, because you're the most important part of the show. So you got to be part of the VIP community in order to get those unlisted, unproduced parts of the show. We actually list them privately on a YouTube link that is not available for search. So we share those with you every week. So that's all part of VIP. And again, some free shares, some of the most amazing products in the world that we're going to talk. I'm looking at them right here, but we'll save it for another episode. We're at past runtime, and our editors are going to love that. But thanks for chilling with us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We can't wait to have you on the show next time.
And cut. It's a wrap.
Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for sharing this episode with that one friend who needs this conversation. Thank you for all the ratings, the reviews, the comments, and especially the support. We so appreciate you.
Now, if you want to take a peek behind the curtain and be the first to know about special previews, backstage updates here at the show, and especially some private collection content that doesn't come out in the regular show,
be sure to join our VIP community at theforeveryoungshow.com.